Today, we're talking about a moment that seriously shook the boxing world. After Jake Paul's fight with Anthony Joshua, the conversation isn't just about winning or losing, it's about real damage, real injuries, and real consequences. From Joe Rogan's warnings to insiders questioning Jake's future in the sport, this fight may have changed everything. So what really happened, and where does Jake go from here? For the full breakdown, subscribe to Boxing XYZ and let's get into it.
Yeah. And you weren't really sparring. You were fighting. We were fighting all the time. And just guys getting dropped all the time. And that was just the kind of gym that I was in.
There's no coming back from that. The people who dissipate their teeth through drug usage, you don't get a second set.
Didn't look like he got out of first gear. Jake Paul was just on pure survival mode from round 1 right through to round 6. I don't know if he's got a moral victory going 6 rounds. Maybe he has. People might give him credit for going 6 rounds. But he got in there and just survived. He just went in there and ran like a chicken from round 1 right through to round 6 when he got splattered.
Joe Rogan expressed shock over the potentially career-ending injury Jake Paul suffered in his fight with Anthony Joshua. He emphasized that boxing is an exceptionally dangerous sport and warned that continuing to compete could have severe consequences for the brain and everyday life. Experts, he noted, caution that injuries of this magnitude often carry long-term effects, underscoring just how hazardous and potentially life-altering these risks can be inside the ring.
Life is ruined because then you can't think, you can't do things, you don't know what the you're doing in life. It's like literally everything is the quality of your ability to think. And I knew that I was putting that in jeopardy.
Joe Rogan has strongly cautioned Jake Paul to reconsider taking high-risk boxing matches, stressing that no career milestone is worth putting one's life in danger. Following his recent fight with Anthony Joshua, Jake suffered severe injuries, including a broken jaw and the loss of multiple teeth that required extraction. Rogan warns that continuing down this road could result in even more serious, potentially permanent damage. He emphasizes that while the excitement and fame surrounding these bouts may be tempting, they come at a steep personal cost. Rogan's message is clear. For both fans and fighters, health must always come before glory in the ring.
Here's the thing. Look at all them celebrities like dude from the Mighty Ducks, the little boy actor that got strung out on drugs. And all his fronts and all his teeth were missing from being on meth or whatever, whatever drug of choice he was on. There's no coming back from that. The people who dissipate their teeth through drug usage, you don't get a second set. So if I'm not mistaken, the dude from Mighty Ducks, somebody he's been clean and they gave him a makeover and he has pretty much fake teeth. So yeah, the teeth are going to be cooked. Now, I agree with the other part that Rogan was saying, but let's keep going.
Yeah. I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen. Yeah. And ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it and that he could do well for a little bit.
Yeah, and I've already expressed my thoughts on this. I'm not giving no props for a person who says I am a real deal boxer because I went in and get smashed and got my jaw broken, but I lasted longer than Ngannou. But I was crazy enough to try because, to be honest, we're way past the honeymoon stage with a person like Jake Paul. You've been in this for long enough to go through fight camps, dedicate your time, effort, energy, money, spar with people. You spar with some quality names because you have resources and money or whatever. So we're well past that to the point where you just get credit for stepping in. You maybe got credit your first fight or whatever, first couple of fights, for coming from your background.
David Haye reportedly explained why Anthony Joshua did not knock out Jake Paul in the opening round, noting that while Joshua didn't land his hardest shots early, Jake still sustained significant damage. Haye emphasized that boxing rarely ends with instant knockouts. Paul was moving and avoiding the heaviest blows, but the steady accumulation of punches eventually took its toll. He stressed that Joshua should not be criticized for failing to finish the fight immediately, explaining that control, timing, and precision matter more than reckless power. Even though Jake survived the early rounds, the injuries he suffered highlight just how dangerous boxing can be, even when attacks are measured and controlled.
So that's usually what happened. What was always going to happen. A lot of people thought he would only last 1 round, 2 rounds, but you got to give Jake credit. He went out there and had a solid game plan and was implementing it at times. Was landing shots and was avoiding getting hit with the big shots. But there's a reason we have weight categories in boxing, and I'd say he sticks with the cruiserweight division where the guys are the same size as him, because that without having the schooling, the many years, I was able to give away 100 pounds in weight because I've been boxing since I was 10. I was an international amateur and world champion at cruiserweight. That's why I was able to do the big jump and use the tactics that he used to win the heavyweight championship. But credit to him, nothing but respect for Jake Paul for putting on such an event and putting himself in harm's way.
I would imagine some people back home for you are going to say, man, AJ should have gotten out of there in 2 rounds.
Anyone who understands boxing knows it's very difficult to close the range on someone who doesn't want to hold his feet. And is AJ supposed to just run around swinging and missing? No, he's supposed to wait for the right opportunity, which he did. And once the opportunity presented himself, he landed and the fight was over. But anyone who kind of gives AJ stick because he didn't knock him out in 1 round doesn't understand boxing.
What level would you say Jake Paul is after that performance?
Pardon?
What level would you say Jake Paul is?
It's hard to tell. It's very difficult to see what level he was, because he was fighting someone in the top 5 in the world. So
Analysts are becoming increasingly outspoken about Jake Paul's career trajectory, urging him to seriously reconsider his future in boxing. They note that for much of his career, Paul largely avoided truly demanding opponents, often facing retired boxers, inexperienced fighters, or athletes crossing over from other sports such as MMA. This approach, critics argue, has long raised questions about the legitimacy of his record and left fans uneasy about how he would perform against top-tier competition. After suffering knockout losses to Anthony Joshua and Tommy Fury, analysts say the risks have finally caught up with him. They contend that while carefully selected matchups once allowed Paul to preserve a strong record, these recent defeats suggest he may have reached the limits of his viability as a professional boxer, and that continuing could pose serious danger to his health.
Beat black fighters, not boxers, like Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, none of them are boxers. Nate Robinson, who's a YouTuber. So I guess, over the hill, retired Mike Tyson, who's 60, almost lost his life before the fight and had blood transfusions and was coughing up blood and was transported off of a plane for passing out. And Jake Paul wanted to fight him and still tried to knock him out. A lot of y'all like to say he had mercy on Mike, but I promise you, I watched the fight. Just go back and watch it again. He was trying to knock Mike Tyson out from beginning to end. He could not do it. The reason he couldn't do it is because he refused to get too close to Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson always would swing back, and he knew could not take that punch from Mike Tyson. So he hit and he ran. And at the end of the fight, he was not showing mercy on Mike. He was trying to make sure that he doesn't get knocked out or caught with something stupid, because he knows he's about to win. He didn't want to risk it. I'm not going to keep letting y'all run with this narrative that Mike Tyson was following a script with all these fake script posts running around on Facebook, or saying that he had mercy on Mike. No, he didn't.
Eddie Hearn reflects calmly on the way the fight unfolded, saying everything went according to plan. He explains that the strategy was built on patience, control, and systematically wearing Jake Paul down before closing the show. While Hearn initially expected the fight to end much sooner, he later admitted he was satisfied it lasted longer, allowing the game plan to fully take shape. He recalls moments in the ring where Anthony Joshua remained composed and unfazed, displaying complete confidence and situational awareness. For Hearn, the performance was a clear demonstration of Joshua's experience and ring intelligence. He also dismisses outside noise and online commentary with a laugh, making it clear that none of it changes the outcome or detracts from the execution.